What's good? It's Jordan. Today I'll be talking to you about fear of missing out. See, many times in our own personal lives, we may have the mind frame of fear of missing out. When we fear missing out, we essentially move in a weaker position, in a weaker state of mind. Many times we have to understand that in our lives, we have our own lives to live. Many times we've been trained and taught to live for others and not to live for self. We have been trained to please others and not please self. We've been trained to validate others and not validate self. We have to understand the importance of missing out. When we decide that we want to miss out, whether it be being around family members, friends or associates, people, places or things, essentially we have to understand the importance in that. We have to understand that we're not meant to be everywhere. We're not meant to do everything. When we understand this, then we can place ourselves in the best position moving on and moving forward. When we try to fill in the gaps, try to be everywhere and try to do everything, then essentially we are giving ourselves away too much. We have to understand that energy that we may have is important. And we have to understand that the energy that we use on a day-to-day basis is important. When we preserve our energy, essentially what we're doing is using our energy towards the right things. Oftentimes, we don't even know that we may be using our energy towards the wrong things, and we decide to waste our energy. And when we decide to waste our energy, it is harder for us to replenish our energy after we waste it. Understand that there's going to be things in this life that we may want to go to or be a part of, but it essentially doesn't mean that we have to do it. It essentially means that sometimes you're going to have to miss out, and it's best if you understand the importance of missing out, especially if you want to grow, especially if you want to change, especially if you want to reach your potential. We all want to reach our potential in this life. And with that potential that we want to reach in this life, we all have the ability to understand missing out. Sometimes we try to do everything and be a part of everything because we may seek validation. Validation is the number one killer of everything. Because when we essentially seek validation, we essentially are not confident in ourselves. We essentially want others to applaud us, want others to actually make us feel like we are the people that we may not feel like we are. We essentially are putting our lives in the hands of others. Anything positive that a person may say, we uphold it high. Anything that a person may say negatively, we may take it negative and we may destroy ourselves with the comments, whether it be positive or negative. But essentially, if we put it in our mind frame that it's not important and that we do not care whether it's positive or negative, then essentially we have a balance in our own lives. Balance is key and balance is important in everything. But just being in the mind frame of scarcity and just going through the mind frame of scarcity with the mind frame of just wanting to be everywhere and doing everything and wanting to actually be a part of everything is never going to put us in the best position possible, because some things we're not supposed to even be a part of, and when we try to actually be a part of those things, we end up making ourselves not look like we are actually intelligent. Sometimes intelligence is knowing what you want to be a part of and what you don't want to be a part of. It's not jumping into everything and thinking that you can do everything. Sometimes we may jump into everything and think that we can do everything just because we want to be a part of it. And essentially when we do that, we lose value within ourselves. Say, for example, we jump into everything and we think that we can do everything. And then we come up on a challenge in that thing that we think that we can do. Then we will be looking unintelligent because we thought that we could jump into this thing and we thought that we had the understanding of this thing when we really actually don't. We have to understand it's not bad to not know something as well. It's not bad to actually not understand something. But the problem is when you think that you know and understand that thing, when you actually don't. And this is the challenge and problems that we have in society. Thinking that we know things when we actually don't. Thinking that we have the mind frame of actual success when we actually don't. Thinking that we have the base model for our lives planned out when we actually don't. See, we have to understand is that God has the foundation for our lives today. And when we understand that and when we go through that mind frame, then we start to learn and develop wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But how can we develop these things when we think that we understand everything? How can we develop these things when we think that we have to be a part of everything? We have to understand that sometimes as well too, when we start to try to merge ourselves into every different category and every different lane, essentially what we're doing is losing value. Sometimes you may be somewhere where you're not even supposed to be, but just because you felt the need to actually want to be there because you don't want to miss out, something terrible or bad might happen. And then you may think in your mind after the fact that I wish I didn't come here, because if I didn't come here, I wouldn't be feeling the effects of this negative scenario and situation. And now that you feel that way, you start to either understand that you're not supposed to be everywhere, or you don't understand, you decide to continuously do the same things again. See, the best thing that we can do is learn the first time. When we go through a negative scenario or situation, learn the first time, understand it the first time, and navigate this life knowing that those situations will happen. But if you put yourself in the best place and position forward, moving on, and know that you do not need to be everywhere, then situations that may happen and situations that may occur, you're able to actually control the direction of your life through those situations and scenarios that may happen. So today I'll be reading you this scripture, and I hope that this scripture can help you in your daily personal life today. Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. See, understand, even in social settings and social scenarios with other people, relationships, that sometimes society may try to place you in this position where you may have to make crucial decisions. People may also place you in the mind frame of these crucial decisions. Some people may be having their own relationships, whether it be in just personal relationships or marriages, and they may have brought children into the world, and you may not be a person that's in a relationship or a marriage, so to speak, or have any children, have a family of your own, and they may ask you why you didn't decide to make those decisions, and why haven't you made those decisions in your own personal life. What we have to understand is there's going to be some people who may hear what they have to say and they may follow behind what that person is telling them, and then there may be other people who do not want to follow behind that model. We have to understand that the decision is for us to make, and for us to not follow behind other people in their own personal lives, because everybody has their own different scenario and situation, and just following behind other people in society is never a good look. Doing things because others have done things because you don't want to miss out is never a good look, especially in relationships, especially in marriage, especially in family dynamics. Everything has to come from a place of understanding between both parties. We have to understand that in this life today, we cannot follow behind society standards, because society will tell you to do one thing, and when you do that thing, they'll tell you to do another thing. Focus on self, focus on your own life, focus on what you want to do in your own life, because you have the decisions in your own life to put you forward. Somebody can just tell you something, but you have a life to live for your own self. Any decision that you make, do not make it based upon what somebody else tells you to do, because people will tell you what to do, so to speak. And then when you do that thing, they'll tell you that they never told you to do that, and that you could have made the decision for yourself and you didn't have to listen to them. So it's important that you make decisions for yourself, because essentially it's your life. Whatever decision that you decide to make, you live with the consequences of that decision. When you listen to others, essentially you are not making the decisions for yourself. You are not conducting yourself in a way that you understand self, and essentially you can ruin your own self listening to other people. So in this life today, understand that we have to destroy the fear of missing out, because when we lead with the fear of missing out, we essentially don't make key decisions, we essentially don't understand self, and we essentially are afraid of what our lives may look like if we decide that we want to be a part of everything, if we decide that we want to be around everybody. The decision is ours time to time again, and it's important that we understand that we have the ability and opportunity to make proper decisions in our own personal lives today. I want to thank you for watching. Peace.